Sometimes the very thing that breaks you is the very thing that builds you. You've been crying about the pain, but what if I told you the pain is not punishment, it's preparation? You've been asking God, why me? Why now? But God is saying, I'm building something in you that comfort could never create. You don't grow in the palace, you grow in the pit. You don't discover your strength on the mountain, you discover it in the valley. It is through the crushing, the breaking, the stripping, God begins to reveal the oil inside of you. Listen to me, don't despise the pain, because the pain is pushing you toward purpose. God never wastes a wound. Every tear you cried, every night you wrestled, every season you thought you couldn't survive, He's using it to build you into a version of yourself you never knew existed. So don't walk away from the process. Don't give up in the middle of the storm. Because THIS is how God builds you beyond the pain. Your pain is not proof that God has abandoned you. It is evidence that He is developing something in you that comfort could never bring forth. Too often when life hurts, when betrayal cuts us deep, when doors close in our faces, we assume it must mean that we are forgotten. We cry, Lord, where are you? Because the silence feels suffocating. But the truth is, silence is not absence. It is strategy. Just like a teacher goes quiet during the test, God often withdraws the noise of His presence so you can learn to stand on what you've already been taught. The pain you are feeling is not the end of the story, it's the shaping of the story. Think about a seed buried in the ground. When the dirt covers it, looks abandoned, it looks forgotten. But the truth is, it's not abandoned, it's in development. The darkness around it is not a grave, it's a womb. The seed must endure the pressure of the soil, the coldness of the earth, and the waiting that feels endless. Yet, same pressure awakens the life hidden within it. The seed breaks open, not because it's weak, but because its destiny demands it. Your pain, like that seed's cracking shell, is a sign that what's inside you is about to burst forth. Consider the athlete training for the Olympics. Every practice is grueling. Every weight lifted burns the muscles. Every sprint tests the lungs. The pain is real, but that pain is not proof of weakness. It's proof of progress. No champion emerges without sweat, soreness, and sacrifice. Ask any athlete, and they'll tell you the training floor hurts more than the victory platform. But without the training floor, there is no victory. In the same way, pain you're feeling right now is preparing you for arenas you haven't even seen yet. The soreness of today will be the strength of tomorrow. Look at the child learning to walk. They stumble, they fall, they cry. Parents could step in every single time, but if they kept rescuing, child would never learn balance. A good parent allows a little pain, a little struggle, because they know development comes through falling and getting back up. God is the same. If He pulled you out every time you felt a wobble, enough, you'd never build the muscles of faith. You'd never develop the resilience to stand tall. Falling isn't proof He left you. It's evidence He trusts you to grow. Think about a diamond. Before it shines in a ring, it is nothing but a lump of coal hidden in darkness. What transforms it? Pressure, heat, crushing conditions that no one would willingly choose. And yet, the pain of that process, the diamond never emerges. It is the fire and the force that reveal its brilliance. The very thing you thought would break you is the very thing shaping you into something unshakable. God doesn't waste the heat, the pressure, the crushing. He uses it to reveal the shine He placed inside you. A student in school doesn't feel abandoned when the teacher assigns homework. They might groan, they might struggle, they might not understand the lesson in the moment, but that assignment is proof the teacher is investing in their growth. Your pain is God's assignment. It is His way of stretching you into places you didn't know you could reach. The late nights of wrestling, the early mornings of tears, the quiet moments where you feel overlooked, they are shaping you into a student who is ready to graduate into a higher level. Even in daily life, the chef's knife cuts the vegetables, the pot boils them, the oven bakes them. To the vegetable, it looks like destruction, but to the chef, it's preparation for a greater meal. What looks like cutting is really crafting. What feels like burning is really refining. And what you call painful is what God calls necessary. He's not cutting you down. He's preparing you to be served to the world in a way that nourishes others. Think about a sculptor standing before a block of marble. To the marble, every strike of the chisel feels like pain, feels like loss, feels like something is being taken away. But the sculptor is not destroying, it's revealing. With every strike, the image hidden inside the stone is being uncovered. You are that marble. Your struggles are not random strikes. They are intentional chisels shaping you into the masterpiece God already saw. You may not understand the blows, but you can trust the artist. Life's disappointments, heartbreaks, betrayals, and losses, none of them are signals that you are abandoned. They are the chisels of destiny carving out your future. Every time you wanted to give up, didn't. Every time you felt overlooked but stayed faithful. Every time you were rejected but chose to keep going, that was God developing you. Don't confuse his silence with his absence. Don't confuse your pain with his punishment. The hammer doesn't hate the nail, it secures the building. The fire doesn't hate the gold, it refines it. Pain doesn't mean you've been forsaken, it means you're being formed. Crushing produces the oil. There is no anointing without pressure. There is no greatness without breaking. There is no fragrance without crushing the petals of the rose. You look at people who walk in power, who walk in wisdom, who walk in grace, and you think they got there because of talent or luck. But if you look closer, you'll see a trail of tears, a history of heartbreaks, seasons of crushing that forced the oil out of their lives. What you admire in someone else is not the shine of their crown. It's the oil that came from their crushing. And olive in its natural state looks ordinary, small and simple. Nobody values the olive until it's pressed. The worth is not in the fruit, it's in the oil hidden inside it. The oil never flows until the olive is crushed, until it goes through pressure, until it is squeezed beyond recognition. Some of you have been asking, why do I feel so pressed on every side? Why does life keep squeezing me? It is because God knows there is oil in you. The only way to release it is through the crushing. The very pressure you hate is the process that is unlocking the value within you. Think about grapes. They are sweet to the taste, but when they are crushed, they become wine that carries influence and value far beyond the grape itself. The grape must be stepped on, must be pressed, must be broken to release what it carries. In the same way, your crushing seasons are not diminishing you. They are multiplying your impact. You thought the betrayal was to destroy you. It was pressing the wine out of you. You thought the rejection was punishment, but it was producing a vintage inside of you that could not come any other way. Look at the process of a pearl. A pearl is born when an irritant, something sharp and painful, enters the shell of an oyster. Oyster responds by layering the irritation with a protective substance over and over again, till the very thing that was meant to harm it becomes the source of its greatest treasure. The crushing irritations of your life, the things that keep stabbing at your peace, the things that feel like thorns in your flesh, are producing pearls of wisdom, beauty, and strength. Without the irritation, there is no pearl. Without the crushing, there is no oil. Consider wheat being made into bread. It cannot be eaten in its raw form. It must be crushed, ground down into flour, mixed, and put into the fire of the oven before it becomes nourishment. The crushing turns wheat into something greater. Your struggles are the grinding mill of destiny. Every loss, every tear, every sleepless night. It's all a part of the recipe. You're not being destroyed. You're being transformed into something that can feed nations. Even in your daily life, think about coffee. The coffee bean is hard, bitter, and hidden in its shell. For you to enjoy its aroma and flavor, it must be crushed, ground, and brewed under heat. The very process that looks destructive is what releases the richness of the bean. Some of you have been through grinding seasons, jobs that drained you, people who walked out on you, moments that tested your mind. But God says that grinding was releasing your flavor, your richness, your depth. Without it, your life would remain bitter and locked away. With it, you become a cup that pours out strength to others. Look at gold. Before it shines, before it sits in a crown or necklace, it must endure fire hot enough to melt away its impurities. The heat is violent, the pressure intense. It's in that crushing heat that the gold reveals its purity. You might be going through fiery trials right now, But that doesn't mean you're finished. It means the impurities are burning away and the real you is emerging. Crushing is not destroying you, it's proving you. Even a pencil must be sharpened to write. The sharpening is uncomfortable. The shaving away seems painful. But without it, the pencil cannot fulfill its purpose. The same is true for you. Your crushing is sharpening you, shaping you, and preparing you to write the story of your destiny. The more the blade cuts, clearer your point becomes. Roses don't release their fragrance until they are crushed. Their beauty is visible, but their fragrance comes only when the petals are broken. Some of you have been through seasons where beauty seemed to fade. What emerged was the fragrance of compassion, the aroma of resilience, the perfume of wisdom. People are drawn to you not because you've never been broken, but because you've been crushed and still carry a sweet aroma. The olive oil, the wine, the pearl, the bread, the coffee, the gold, the pencil, the rose, all of them testify of one truth. Crushing produces the oil. You are not being crushed because you are weak. You are being crushed because you are valuable. If there was nothing in you worth extracting, life would leave you alone. But the pressure you feel, the weights you carry, the breaking you endure, it is heaven's announcement that there is oil in you the world has not seen yet. The wilderness is the workshop, is the place where God trains you in silence. The classroom where distractions are stripped away. The environment where you are tested and tempered for the assignment ahead. Nobody volunteers for the wilderness. It feels lonely, it feels barren. It feels like nothing is happening. But in reality, more is happening in the wilderness than you can see. What looks like isolation is preparation. What looks like delay is development. What looks like emptiness is equipment for the future. The wilderness is not a punishment. It is God's workshop. And everyone God has ever used had to go through it. Moses spent 40 years in the wilderness tending sheep before he ever stood before Pharaoh. Those years looked wasted to the naked eye, but God was shaping a deliverer in obscurity. The palace gave Moses education, but the wilderness gave him character. The palace taught him speech, but the wilderness taught him silence. The palace showed him power, but the wilderness showed him patience. Some of you are in the wilderness right now, and you think it means you're forgotten. No, it means you're being trained. The wilderness is God's university. The tuition is loneliness, struggle, and waiting. Think about David, anointed to be king as a boy, but instead of marching straight to the throne, he was sent back to the wilderness to tend sheep. It was in the wilderness he learned how to sling a stone, how to protect the flock, how to worship when nobody was watching. The songs we read in Psalms today were not written in palaces. They were born in caves and fields. When Goliath showed up, David wasn't scared because he had already faced lions and bears in the wilderness. The wilderness is where you fight battles that no one applauds, but those unseen victories prepare you for the battles that everyone will witness. Look at Jesus. Before he ever performed a miracle, before he healed the sick, before he preached the Sermon on the Mount, the Spirit led him into the wilderness. For 40 days he fasted, he prayed, he wrestled with temptation. No crowds, no applause, no miracles, just him and the Father. Why? Because the wilderness builds the inner man. Public ministry requires private strength, and the wilderness is where that strength is forged. If the Son of God himself had to go through the wilderness, why do we think we can skip it? The wilderness is not a detour. It is part of the destiny. Think about your own life. When you go to the gym, you don't build strength by staying comfortable. The muscles only grow when they are pushed beyond their limit, when they are torn and repaired. The gym is a kind of wilderness. It's repetitive, lonely, painful. But what happens in that unseen room transforms how you look and live in the visible world. In the same way, your wilderness seasons are your spiritual gym. Nobody claps for you while you lift the weights of disappointment. Those private reps are building you into someone stronger, steadier, and unshakable. A tree in the desert grows differently than a tree in a garden. In the garden, rain is frequent and the soil is rich, but in the desert, the roots are forced to dig deep in search of hidden water. Those roots make the tree unmovable when storms come. You may not see rain in your life right now. You may feel dry, barren, overlooked. But the wilderness is forcing your roots to go deeper in God, deeper in faith, deeper in perseverance. feels like lack is actually anchoring you so that when storms come, you won't be moved. Think about the student in medical school. They spend years in classrooms, labs, and sleepless nights before they ever touch a patient. They look at their friends building careers, making money, enjoying life, and they feel left behind. But the wilderness of study is equipping them with skills and knowledge that will one day save lives. They are hidden now so they can be effective later. Your wilderness works the same way. It hides you, it disciplines you, it shapes you so that when God puts you in the spotlight, you won't crumble under the weight of it. Even the caterpillar must enter the cocoon, a dark, tight, and lonely place before it can ever fly. The cocoon feels like confinement, but it is transformation. If the butterfly were pulled out too soon, it would never have the strength to use its wings. The struggle inside the cocoon is what equips it for flight. Your wilderness is your cocoon. You may feel stuck, pressed, or hidden, but what's happening in that secret place is equipping you for heights you can't even imagine yet. When soldiers are trained for battle, they are not trained on the front lines of war immediately. They go to boot camp. They wake up at dawn, run miles with heavy packs, crawl through mud, endure drills that test their minds and bodies. The wilderness is your boot camp. It strips away comfort, builds endurance, disciplines your spirit, and toughens your faith. Without it, you'd collapse under the weight of your assignment. With it, you can stand in the face of giants and not be shaken. Even a chef knows that flavor deepens not in the rush, but in the slow simmer. Quick heat can cook. It cannot cultivate richness. Slow fire, time, patience develop taste. Your wilderness is the slow simmer. You may feel like your life is on pause. God is deepening your flavor. He's marinating you in patience, seasoning you with wisdom, preparing you to be served with excellence when your time comes. The wilderness is where self-reliance dies and God, dependence is born. It is where pride is stripped away and humility is built. It is where noise is silenced so that you can hear God's whisper. It is the workshop where God crafts unseen qualities, endurance, resilience, faith that no one applauds, but everyone will see when you step into your destiny. Every detour, every delay, every dry season is part of that workshop. You may not like it, but you need it, because the wilderness is where God takes ordinary people and shapes them into extraordinary vessels. Scars become your sermon. The very things you try to hide, the very wounds you thought disqualified you, the very moments you believed would be your end, they are the marks that prove your survival. A scar is evidence that you were cut, but it is also evidence that you healed. The wound didn't kill you. The pain didn't consume you. The trial didn't bury you. You carry the scar not as a reminder of your weakness, but as a testimony of your strength. People may see your success, your smile, your victory, but when they see your scars, they understand the cost of what it took to get here. Your scars preach louder than your words ever could. Look at the soldier who returns from battle. The medals are beautiful, but the scars are powerful. The scars tell the story of courage, of nights in the trenches, of battles fought and survived. A soldier's scar doesn't bring shame. It brings honor. It says, I was there. I faced the fire. I stood in the fight. I made it out. In the same way, your scars are not stains to hide. They are medals of survival. Preach to others that if you could walk through the fire and come out, they can too. Think about a mother who bears stretch marks after giving birth. Society may call them flaws, but those marks are proof of life, proof of carrying something greater than herself, proof of sacrifice and endurance. The child she holds in her arms is the living sermon of what those scars produced. Some of the scars you carry in your heart and on your body are the stretch marks of destiny. They prove you carried something heavy, something life-changing, something that made you expand beyond who you used to be. Without the scars, the story of life doesn't exist. Consider the person who has survived surgery. The scar on their chest, their stomach, or their back may look like a disfigurement to some, but to them it is a declaration. I was sick, but I recovered. I was broken, but I was restored. Every time they see that scar in the mirror, it reminds them of the battle their body fought and the healing that followed. The scar preaches resilience. It tells others who are sick, healing is possible. Don't give up. Your scars might just be the evidence someone else needs to keep believing in their own recovery. Even in nature, the tallest trees carry scars. Look closely at their trunks, and you'll see marks from storms, from axes, from lightning strikes. Scars don't stop the tree from growing. They become part of its testimony. The tree still stands tall, reaching for the sky, carrying life in its branches, shading those who rest beneath it. The scars are proof of survival through storms others couldn't endure. In the same way, your life storms may have left you with marks, but those marks make you strong enough to shelter others. Think about the potter's clay. When it is first shaped, it looks smooth and flawless, but as it goes through the fire, cracks appear. The Japanese art of kintsugi takes broken pottery and repairs it with gold, making the cracks not a flaw, but the most beautiful part of the vessel. The brokenness becomes the highlight, the scars become the shine. Your scars are the gold lines in your story. They are where God poured in His grace and turned your brokenness into beauty. What you thought would disqualify you is what makes you most valuable. Look at athletes. Many of them bear scars from surgeries, from falls, from collisions. Those scars tell the story of discipline, of resilience, of pushing beyond pain. When they stand on the podium, people see the medal. Scars tell the truth about the journey. Without the scars, the medal has no meaning. Without the pain, the victory has no weight. In your own life, the scars you carry give depth to your achievements. They tell people, this didn't come easy. I paid for this with tears, with struggle, with perseverance. Even scars of the heart become sermons. The heartbreak you thought would end you, the betrayal that tore your trust, the rejection that crushed your confidence, those invisible scars become stories of survival. When you speak about how you loved again, how you forgave, how you rose after rejection, you become living proof that healing is possible. Someone else going through heartbreak hears your story and finds the courage to keep going. Your emotional scars become a message of hope louder than any textbook or lecture could give. Look at Jesus after the resurrection. He could have come back with a perfect, unmarked body, but He chose to keep the scars in His hands inside. Why? Because the scars preach. They testify to the cross, of the suffering, of the victory over death. When Thomas doubted, Jesus didn't give him a sermon. He showed him his scars. That was enough. Sometimes the greatest sermon you'll ever preach won't come from your mouth, but from the scars you show. Even in daily life, home that has been rebuilt after a fire still carries traces of the struggle. The repaired beams, the new walls, they are testimonies of resilience. Family living in it knows what it took to restore it, and every guest who hears the story of that house leaves inspired. You are like that house. Your rebuilt areas, your healed wounds, your recovered places, they speak. They say, yes, I went through fire, but I didn't burn out. Yes, I was broken. I'm still standing. Oh, your scars are sermons because they carry authenticity. They are not theory, they are proof. You don't just talk about healing, you lived it. You don't just talk about perseverance, you survived it. You don't just talk about faith, you walked through valleys where faith was all you had. And now when you stand before others, your scars give weight to your words. They make your testimony undeniable. The wound hurt you, yes, but the scar proves you overcame. And when people see your scars, they don't just see your past, they see their own future. You have walked through pain that tried to break you. You have endured crushing seasons that squeezed everything out of you. You have survived wilderness moments where you felt lost, abandoned, and forgotten. You have carried scars that still ache when you touch them. But here you are, still breathing, still standing, still moving. That alone is proof that what tried to bury you could not hold you down. Your very survival is your sermon. Your life is the testimony that pain is not the end. Crushing is not the end. The wilderness is not the end. And scars are not the end. They are all chapters in a bigger story that God Himself is writing. You thought the pain was punishment, but now you see it was preparation. You thought the crushing was to destroy you, but it was releasing the oil of your destiny. You thought the wilderness was exile, but it was training ground for giants you didn't know you'd face. You thought the scars were shame, but now they shine as your crown. You are the living evidence that God never wastes a wound, never wastes a tear, never wastes a storm. Every valley you crawled through, every battle you fought, every rejection you endured, God has been using it to sculpt you, shape you, strengthen you for such a time as this. When the enemy tried to convince you it was over, God whispered, "I'm not finished yet." When you were ready to give up, He was building you up. When you felt crushed beneath the weight of life, He was pressing greatness out of you. And when you look at your scars today, don't see them as reminders of pain. See them as receipts of your victory. They are evidence that you've been through the fire, but you didn't burn. You've been through the water, but you didn't drown. Like gold refined, you came out shining. Like a seed buried, you came out blooming. Like a soldier wounded, you came out with honor. So lift your head. Don't despise the pain. Don't curse the crushing. Don't run from the wilderness. Don't hide your scars, because everything you've been through was not wasted. It was invested. Heaven invested struggle in you so it could pull strength out of you. The breaking was the making. The tears watered the soil of your future. The silence of God was the training of your faith. And the scars you carry now are the sermon someone else desperately needs to hear. Somebody is watching you, waiting to see if you'll give up. Show them you can stand. Somebody is listening to you, waiting to hear if hope is still possible. Show them it is. Somebody is following you, waiting to see if God can still use broken people. Show them He can. Because your life is bigger than your struggle. Your life is a message. Every bruise has a voice. Every wound has a witness. Every scar has a sermon. The world is waiting for what you carry. So speak with your scars, walk with your wounds, rise with your resilience, declare with your very existence, "I am still here. I am stronger than the storm. I am greater than the pain. I am proof that God builds beyond the breaking." You don't have to explain everything. Just show up. Just stand tall. Just live out the evidence. Because your survival shouts louder than any microphone ever could. You are the seed that refused to rot in the dirt. You are the diamond that refused to crumble under pressure. You are the warrior who took the hit and still kept fighting. You are the survivor who turned the scar into strength. And now, when you walk out of this place, don't walk like a victim. Walk like a vessel. Don't walk like somebody barely making it. Walk like somebody anointed through crushing, trained in wilderness, and crowned with scars. Walk like somebody who knows that pain built them, storms shaped them, and scars became their sermon. Because when life asks the question, what can survive the storm? Your life will be the answer. When the world asks, where is God in the pain? Your testimony will point to Him. When people wonder, is it possible to rise after the breaking? Your very existence will preach back, yes, it is. I am the proof.